Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm your laughable host, the one who believes that the strongest medicine possible for your journey is laughter. I'm convinced of that one. Um, I have to I have to say it's really quite an honor to host this delightful group. I mean, look at us all. What a delightful group. It is. It's really incredible. I'm happy to see everybody's face here this morning about being there, the movie Being There. And then that launched us into Peter Sellers and his role in Pink Panther. And I thought when he died, I was going to be able to do the Pink Panther movies because I could do that stuff so well. Do you have a licence for the Minky? Um, really good stuff, right? Really good stuff. But the movie of all time, which I think is going to highlight what we're going to talk about today, is the movie Being There. Being There. And so I highly recommend for your entertainment and laughter, the movie Being There. Because as Win and I were talking about it this morning, it's the difference, right, between human doing and human being. And this movie was just in essence an outline of what that truly means. The simplicity of being. And so today, what we're going to do is continue our experiment in doing circle by taking the feather and passing the feather to each person. And again, the protocol, if you will, for circle has everything to do with the idea that the person holding the feather is the one who is speaking, and the rest of us in circle are listening. The person who holds the feather can decide that they want to say an inner prayer, hold the feather, say an inner prayer, and pass it. They do not need to speak. But it helps with the circle if we all share. The topic that we're going to talk about today is what is the meaning of the expression inner journey? What is the meaning of the expression, the inner journey? So, what I thought I'd do is before I start this up, I'm going to start with a prayer, and then I'm going to turn it over to Susan to give you some updates in relation to Soul School Network, etc. And then she'll pitch it back to me, and we'll start up our circle. So here's the prayer. Heavenly Father, Mother Creator, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of my devotion. And may I be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Heavenly Mother, Father Creator, charge my body with thy vitality. Rid me of all my weaknesses. Charge my mind with thy spiritual power and my soul with thy immortality. I shall sleep no more. I shall sleep no more. Through self-realization within me, through the masters and gurus, I shall find the emancipation which leads to the Mother, Father, Creator. Om. Over to you, Susan.
Thank you, Michael. And for starting us off completely without any kind of protocol, um, based on our brief discussion. So I'm entertained. And I should grab my feather. Maybe I'll grab feather. Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank everybody for being here, because I know there's so many places you could be and things you could choose to do. And to that point, I want to share with you some updates about Soul School Network. And we've been having speakers on and off, sometimes every second week for the last couple of years. We're really officially at 2 years now, getting together on Sundays. And so we're making some changes, and we're going to launch a speaker series at the end of May. and that will be a 21-day speaker series, which is going to be really exciting. In the meantime, we've taken on Sunday Circle, and we will also be having speakers, and we will continue to have speakers after that very specific speaker series. But it's a really exciting opportunity for Soul School Network to grow and build community. And so this is our initiative that's coming forward. And I really appreciate your emails of suggested speakers. And I received one from one of our regulars last evening, I think, and I haven't responded yet with a suggested speaker. And so please do send any ideas my way. I really appreciate it. And so, yeah, of course, I welcome your ideas for speakers for our regular Sunday thing. And then what you're going to notice is on the Soul School Network website, there's new pieces. And some of it's going to show some paid education that we're going to start doing. We're going to start doing retreats here in Peru. So we have all sorts of new initiatives coming, and we're really excited about it. So I just wanted you to know, if you go to the Soul School Network website, you'll see a new tab that says education, and you'll see that it links to Ashram Wake-Wilka website, which is actually not officially published yet because we're just finishing up, the sort of basic information. And that's really about retreats here in the Sacred Valley with us, spiritual retreats. So we'll be doing one-on-one retreats. We'll be doing retreats through Soul School Network, and we'll be doing design your own retreats. So people may have an idea of what it is they need or want to do when they're in Peru, and we would love to facilitate that. So there's a lot of things coming your way, and it will all be online. And thank you for your patience as we go through this transition, because I know you've noticed we haven't had some speakers lately, and it's really because the effort is going toward the speaker series at the moment. So I'm going to pass the feather, and Michael's, I guess, opening up our conversation about what is the meaning of the inner journey. So, Michael, why don't I just let you start us off? I'll pass the feather back to you for that.
Okay. I'm a bit shy, but I'll take it. The fact is, I think that's what I'm trying to develop, actually, is shyness. Because humility is really the pathway in the journey of self-realization. Yeah, it came upon me as Susan said to me. She said, well, let's think about what we could talk about in the circle on Sunday. And it just struck me like a ton of bricks. I went, wow, what do we mean when we say inner journey? Because we throw that around a lot, right? And we talk about inner journey. But then the question becomes, what essentially does that mean, inner journey? And then if I draw upon all of the authors that I've blazed my way through, Helena Blavatsky, Alice Bailey, Uspensky, Gurdjieff, Samael Aun-Weor, on and on and on, and go on and on and on, and wisdom keepers and everything else. And then you come to this realization, like the two words, self-realization. Like, think about that just for a second, right? So self, that's one thing. And then realization, that's another thing. And so when I'm talking about self, then I have to do it with a capital S and a small s, because there's the self, which is really your soul, and the self, which is participating in the physical material world. And there's this differentiation between the two, but guess where they both are? Inner. They're both inside the capital S self and the small s self. They're both inside. So when we're talking about self-realization, we have to come to grips with self. And if I ask myself the question, who is the self in relation to myself? Who am I in the relationship of I? You can say, I am that, I am this, I am God, I am, et cetera, fill in the blank. But the question becomes, who am I? And the answer lies within. Susan, I think, a favorite terminology for Martha Creek, which I love and I adopt unreservedly. If you don't go within, you'll go without. So think about that. Think about the idea of what it takes to go within. And what does it take to really examine yourself? Gurdjieff, who is an esoteric philosopher, who was a teacher of Uspensky, another esoteric philosopher, Russian. Both of them I've spoken about and mentioned before. But Gurdjieff says, like, you have to understand there's four levels of a human being. And it has to do with consciousness, four levels of consciousness. Like when you're sleeping and you're unconscious. And number two is asleep when you're awake. So sleeping consciousness while you're awake. And then there's a third level of consciousness, which is a seeking consciousness. And that consciousness shifts gears away from the other two that were sleeping. And the fourth consciousness is God consciousness, the ability to achieve within the framework of yourself enlightenment. So inner journey has everything to do then with observation. Observation must become the critical component of self-realization, because in order to change, you must observe. And in that observation comes self-remembering. So the observation of self leads to self-remembering about who you are. And that leads you into the concept or the idea or the consciousness that I am a spiritual being having a physical experience. So within the framework of the four levels of consciousness of human being, the first two, who are completely asleep, have no capacity for that self-realization because of the sleeping consciousness. So to awaken the consciousness within to what is the real, what is the truth, what is the undertaking, what is the existence. I always come back to sit, chat, ananda. Sit, eternal existence. Chat, eternal consciousness. Ananda, eternal bliss. So this is what you actually live in. This is eternity, leading me to the three consciousnesses that exist: cosmic, solar, planetary. Now here you are in the planetary consciousness. And in that planetary consciousness, you have actually made a decision to come here in order to learn, because this is a schoolhouse and you're in the schoolhouse. And in that schoolhouse, your instructor is within. The great teacher is within. The great healer is within. All of the answers to your existence, consciousness, and bliss is within. So I must become an observer of self in order for myself to evolve. When I'm working on myself, I have to give over control. Remember the prayer, the mantra of unification? Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love which underlies the happenings of the time. That's what you live in. That what I just said in 2 sentences is what you live in. You live in a place of love. This cosmos, go out tonight, no matter whether it's 20 below or not, and look up at the stars, and you tell me what holds them together. You tell me how come they don't bump into each other. And I'll answer you with love. That's what does it. It keeps it together. So the inner journey, in my understanding, is a quest, a seeker's quest. And it really energizes you when you think about it from that perspective. That from the perspective that what you're doing is you're embarking upon a quest like Don Quixote. And the fact is that Don Quixote's windmill produced wind. It produced wind. It was an element of the air. And become Don Quixote and get on your horse and begin to self observe and spend your energy in evolution instead of devolution. And devolution comes from the split mind, the mind that tumbles into the negative pole rather than the positive pole. Fear, love. Fear, love. Fear, love. If I place my mind in the love vibration, then I cannot falter. There's no falter. I can't stumble. I can't bruise myself. When I'm in the fear vibration, I'm confused and it's chaotic. It's not calm. It's not still. The world we live in right now is not going to change unless you change yourself. Nothing is going to change. You change yourself, things will change. Most importantly, your perspective. Your perspective might be a bit better on an inner journey than standing around and watching the fools who are insane running the world. That's your education. It's simply your education. In the face of this insanity, can I grow? In the face of this insanity, can I grow? And as I grow, you grow, and the world grows. This is the way change comes about. I could go on a long time, but this is a circle. So I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to uh, I'm going to pass the feather to John Michael.
Thank you. Thank you. I have two little feathers here. Uh, I was so enthralled with what you were saying and got so deep into that. I wasn't really prepared to jump in here, but I'm going to go for it. Okay. You're amazing, Michael. I could listen to you all day and learn so much. Um, well, the question of who I am is a really big one for me, and it's something that I really been working on a lot lately. Um, and I in our journeys, to discover what I've been experiencing, that I have found two selves. I found the self that I had created to survive, to get through what I need to do, the self that has been taught by everybody outside of me, my parents, my society, my government, telling me what to do and how to do it and where to go. To all the answers are told they're outside of me. And I'm realizing that there's this other self in me, the true self that's in there that's never left. And it's kind of the soul or whatever you want to call it. And that's where all the answers are. That part is connected to source. And what the truth is I've never been disconnected from source, but I believe that I was. And so that chaotic world that you're talking about is this loudness that I keep hearing, that I feel like I have to do this for other people. I have to be accepted. I have to, I judge myself. I judge others. All this stuff is craziness. And I agree with you. It's insane. And I did a meditation the other day, which I like to share with you, is that I wanted to try to meet my inner self, my inner soul. And I went in, I went down, and I found a door. And around the door was all this bright light bleeding through the door frame. And I thought, oh my God, the door must be locked, right? Well, I reached for the doorknob. It was unlocked. It's always been unlocked. So when I opened the door up, this gush of white light came and pushed all against me. And I could feel it. It was like wind and everything, and it was peaceful. It was beautiful. And in the middle of this light in the room was this other soul. And I realized that, all of a sudden I just reached out, and it was kind of like a moment of trying to touch that other soul. And then I got kind of a little bit freaked out by it, because I thought, I don't know what that, did I make that up? Did I just create that? Did I? And then I said, okay, the next day I tried to do it again and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find the door. find anything. And I was like, where is it? And then all of a sudden something hit me. You're already connected. You're one. So you're not going to find the door again. And so that's what inner journey means to me. So thank you for letting me share. And I'm going to pass this or share my feathers. And you know this is coming to you, Susan. You knew it. I saw it. It's coming to you.
Thank you so much, John Michael, for your wise words and for sharing that personal experience. Wow. Um, thanks for what you shared, Michael. I'm thinking about the duality of inner, outer, good, bad, right, wrong, and how important that is for us to navigate, in this physical experience. Apparently, this is what we need for guidance and direction on some level. And, everyone is on a spiritual journey, right? Whether they know it or not. So we all agree that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so it's one huge journey of self-realization and discovery. And um, we may not like what we're looking at, and how wonderful that it might be taking us to the inner journey. So going inside, looking for who am I? So this, I would have to see, would be the beauty of what we're witnessing, is that, something's got to shift, something's got to change. And so I guess it has to be that extreme. That's how far gone we are. Obviously I'm generalizing, but that's how much it is to wake us up. It has to be this way, I gather, because that's, loving what is means um, meeting reality on its terms. And so, but when I think of the inner journey, I'm thinking of my inner family, my father, mother, God, and my inner doctor or health person, whatever is right for you. For me, for my inner lawyer, my inner judge, all of these parts are me, the inner part of me. And I really love, if you've ever followed it, internal family systems through Richard Schwartz. And to know my parts is, and to clear the inner part. So inner part work in internal family systems really helps to clear these things that happen when we were typically very, very young children and don't even remember, that are creating our outer journey. They're affecting our outer journey, these exiles, it's called, in this particular system. And doing the inner parts work really frees up. You're getting rid of these these parts. You're not getting rid of them, but you're bringing attention to them and soothing them and comforting them, and so that they're not running your life in a way that is uncomfortable. It's not disrupting relationships. It's actually, when you do inner parts work, then connection comes so much easier. And of course, when we think about nervous system regulation and general health, connection is key, our ability to connect with one another. So there's so many ways for me to look at what is the inner journey. And of course, I see it as all about self-realization, and getting to see more of the capital S self um, in my life. And yeah, thank you for the topic, Michael. I appreciate it. I'm complete. And I would like to pass it over to John, please.
You for passing on the feather. John Michael, I think that's the greatest experience you could ever have. I mean, to be able to have that moment of basically almost beyond time space where you actually feel the connectivity between your soul and God. That is the place to go. And it's difficult to get there because of all the teachings and everything that's been taught that we are separate away from that inner source. And that teaching goes way back. I mean, when I trace it back to the industrial age and the process of rationalization, the separation of subject and object, um, you know, all that gave us this perspective that we are an observer and reality is out there, where in fact we're connected and we've been connected all along. A little piece of information I can say that, I delve into a lot of these little things, and being part of Eckankar, the science of soul travel, we talk about it all the time. But a little bit of information on vibration. The Earth vibrates at a 7.83 hertz. It sends out a frequency. And guess what your brain vibration vibrates at? 7.83. So all these things is so subtle and we never talk about it. No, but that's how connected we are. We are truly connected. So I think that a lot of people would like to have that kind of experience that you had, so that they can uh, prove to themselves that yeah, there is life beyond our physical being, and whatever that part is beyond time space, and it is the as has been said before, we do come here, to learn a spiritual experience and become a better person. So I mean, I could talk a little bit about that. As an echist, we say we don't have a soul, we are soul. And that soul is made up of light and sound. And it's a quite, and that's trying to get back to that original feeling that you get experiences. For me, my dream state, when I dream, I sometimes get access to these, something as spiritual traveler. I don't know what it is. I am led to a door, but I didn't go in. Things of that nature. But similar to near-death experiences, that is the proof that we are more than our first physical being, and that part of us lives forever. Thank you. Can I pass? And I'm passing the feather. Can I pass it to you, Michelle?
Sure. I'm actually jealous of everyone who has a feather. Wish I had
I
one.
don't.
I guess I should get one. Um, well, I'm thinking that the inner journey has a lot to do with self-awareness. Like a lot of people think they don't have a choice because they are programmed from birth pretty much to, follow the system, be an autopilot and, connect with the matrix, do whatever you're told, especially like that, like you're supposed to follow authority and just from the time you're in school, you're told to, what to do, and then you go into the workforce and then you have a boss, so you never really get to know yourself because you're too busy with external. And like what David Icke always says, like they hijack your perception and then they pretty much have your whole life, dictate your whole life to you. And the trick is that you have to kind of like bypass that and go into consciousness and elevate yourself so that you can realize that there's so much more to this, and you're so much more. You're not your body, you're like something like, so I can't even like describe it. It's like expansive. You're like part of this God consciousness that made this whole universe, right? So you're a spark of that. And you have to, most people don't want to accept it. It almost seems like they're scared to accept it because it challenges their beliefs. They may think that they will lose control of themselves, and they might think that they're crazy, and they just have to accept what is acceptable and stop accepting the unacceptable, which is what the powers that shouldn't be want you to accept. And this world would change instantly if everyone would just, try to expand themselves and to empathize with others. That's a big one. And I wish that people would just try. It seems like they don't even want to. And it's frustrating, but that's why I try to find like groups like this one that, realize that, there's so much more, and how this world is so wrong and it needs to change. And we're the ones who can change it. Mhm. I can't think of anything else to say, so I'll pass it on to Sarah.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Got my feather here. And Michelle, you can ask for a feather from nature. Ask and it is given. Just give something, some tobacco or a rock or something. It doesn't need even a lock of your own hair. And ask nature to give you a feather. And then you can, wrap some string around it or do whatever you want. Guaranteed you're going to receive your feather. So, thank you to everyone who has shared so far. I'm so happy to be here and I'm so grateful for just how in sync we are. My thoughts before coming, how in alignment it already is. And then what everyone said, it's bringing up these little sparks in me. John Michael, when you were talking about the door, I thought of the Rumi quote. I was locked and knocking on the door. Finally, the door opened and I saw I was knocking from the inside. So, we think we're outside the door. We're already inside. And the nature, right? Nature, the order of nature, the essence of nature, this feeling of the Tao or just what is that the river continues to flow. The bird, uh, all the animals are just living in their abundance and prosperity and freedom. And this consciousness that everything has consciousness in it, a rock, a tree. And when we begin to align with that, surrender to that and look for that essence within ourselves, that the essence of nature, and then that in others, that can also soften this frustration that you're speaking about, Michelle, is begin to just start with the smallest thing of that there's essence in everything, there's essence in everyone, and nature's going to take its course. Just like Dad was saying, how the stars are held together and this love that ties everything together, this beautiful order when we can just go beyond. And in my inner research and the beautiful books that I get to read that support that, I mean, the biggest epiphany I've been having lately, there's something, John, you said exis, I think it was. Wait, I wrote it down. You are egist.
Anarchist.
Ekist.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is interesting. Another synchronicity here. I wanted to
Mhm.
speak about something called ekphrasis. And ekphrasis is it's from the Greek, When we do an ekphrastic poem or an ekphrastic piece of writing, it's looking at a piece of art and responding to it. So ek, out, and phrasis, tell. So, or ek, pull, and then phrasis, phrase. You watch or look at this thing and then create something from it. And my favorite personal ekphrasis that I've done years ago, I watched this film, this 1970 film by Barbara Loden called Wanda. And it's about a lost woman. She's purposeless. She doesn't know what she wants out of life. She ends up in this terrible situation with a bank robber. Like it's just, she's completely lost soul. And I wrote a response to that. It really stirred things in me from my own my maternal lineage and seeing the women just sort of being obsessed with makeup and perfume and looks and so I wrote this piece called See Your Own Face. And it starts with the mother, the other, not wanting to look directly at the wound and just how painful it is to look at, oh God, the terror of looking at the self. And as I go through it, it's this epiphany of like, break open. Don't be afraid to look at it. You can find joy among the tombstones. Don't be afraid to look at your most terrifying aspect. And right now, the ekphrasis I'm working on is, yeah, wow, the leap. That was See Your Own Face. I've been reflecting on there's the series Game of Thrones, which I don't recommend anyone going in revisiting because we already have enough stories in our own. I'm joking. Of course, if you want to revisit, go ahead. But it's this endless series of, lineage and scandal and the fall from grace and then the rise to triumph. And it just never ends. It's like 50 seasons or something. And it's these volumes of books that are this big. And isn't that the human condition? And so, there's this part in the series where this young girl who comes from royalty and she's deflected and she's, not dressed as a royal princess. She's dressed, like a young knight. And she ends up getting into this really deep training where to become the faceless one. And it's the a girl has no face. A girl has no face. And so they're trying to train her how to to assume any identity, right? And so the guy training her says, "Who are you?" "I'm Arya Stark from Winterfell." No, it's no, you have to, she's training her to release who you think you are. It's not until she no longer is that, until someone comes to her and she says, "Well, who are you?" And she says, "Well," and she starts telling, "I was an orphan and then I did this." And you see Arya's face lighting up. And when the woman's done her story, wow, and the woman says, "Did you believe me? Was that a truth or a lie?" And then her face starts to change, and you see how she was identifying with the story and feeling all the emotions. And oh, was it a truth or a lie? And then they ask her again, "Who are you?" "I'm Arya Stark from when." "No, you're not ready." "I'm ready," she says. She keeps saying, "I'm ready to train." You're not, though, because she cannot let go of her narrative. And she has a sword that she calls Needle, and she identifies with this sword. "You're not ready," he keeps telling her. And it's not until she's able to lie about her story. "Who are you?" I'm Billy McGee, and I was born out of wedlock. And, and she creates a completely different story. And it's not until that story becomes believable that she's able to take on another's face. And what's the purpose of taking on another's face? It's be able to be a shapeshifter, to be a last airbender, to move within dimensions and to achieve all these different things. And in this is this great empathy. It's like to be able to identify with another's story. And then at the end of all of her training, when she becomes the faceless one, she becomes more herself than ever before. She goes back to being Arya Stark of Winterfell, but she no longer identifies with it. So I thought, wow, this epiphany from see your own face to being the faceless one. And it tied into something I had read about the past, that We need to be able to look at our past without shame, all of it. The parts that we don't want to look at the most, stop identifying with it. And if it's particularly painful, even more the reason to go into it, look at it, and then release it. Cry if you need to, scream if you need to. But then it's like I'm no longer identifying with that character. Michael Swinwood, my father, and Susan, my other mother, we've got five siblings, right? And I've been having kind of trouble looking at some of the past narratives related to our upbringing, related to the way I acted when I was younger, and having to kind of sit with some very uncomfortable truths about the way I behaved when I was wounded. And it's like, well, and I had a deep cry about it. I can't believe it, but really had to look at what was going on. Well, I was angry. I didn't want something to be the way it was. I hated this person, and whoa, to uncover that, so uncomfortable. But then in going there and having a good cry about it, it's like I forgive that person. All the world's a stage, right? I don't identify with that character anymore because that's all it is. It's someone running a script, playing a role. Like Michelle says, we're spit into this world. The conditioning begins right away, and we're just trying to figure it out without any guidance. And then eventually, where I'm at now is not identifying with that character anymore, really, but being in acceptance of it in order to transcend it, integrate it, and transcend it. I met a man I was fortunate enough to go skiing the other day, and I met a man on the gondola. He looked great. He reminded me of Dad, just a little older. He was wearing neon and, bright eyes. And he said, I'm 87. And he said, he's from Long Island, so he had a very strong accent. I'm 87. I'm hoping to make it to three digits, but, that's probably not realistic. That's probably not logical. And I said, when has a dream been realistic or logical? When has someone who has succeeded against all odds, when is that realistic? A good point, he said. Yeah, that's true. And I said, well, you've got to go beyond the successful people or people achieving a big dream are rarely, you know, mixing with the pickles. You got to rise above and live your dream. Oh, that's very true. And I said, I'm Sarah, by the way. What's your name? And he said, Bruce. My name is Bruce. And I said, Bruce, that's not a name you hear often. They're holding the new baby. Let's name him Bruce. You just don't get that anymore. And he said, oh, yeah, I hated my name when I was a kid. I really didn't like it. I was teased. I said, really? Why? What did they say to you? You're cruising for a Brucein? And he said, oh, that's funny. He said, no, I don't want to think about it, actually. I don't want to go back there, he said. And I said, well, Bruce, if you want to make it to three digits, go back there. Look at it, feel it, let it go. I didn't go so far as to say to him, that's how dementia begins, right? Because what I was thinking though was like, you want to be living in your vitality. You want to be living on. The secret here is to really, we got to stop telling ourselves that's not realistic, it's not logical, and we also need to stop being afraid of these stories and identifying with Bruce. And I hated it. I don't want to think about it anymore. I took a selfie with Bruce and I just said, because I knew I'd remember it, I knew we'd had that joined moment there, of nature taking its course, going with the flow, the secret to longevity. All these things are coming up. And a big shift in the times that we're in right now is that we're being given access to our soul records, the Akashic records of our soul. And so every face that we have been, and instead of all the trials and tribulations and the endless seasons and characters, the wisdom that was gleaned in every lifetime, and then accessing it now, the inner journey, the way that I'm experiencing it right now is connecting to that soul star, connecting to that multiple character, the richness, the wealth from all of that. Another word you said, Michelle, expansive. It's like people are worried about how expensive things are getting. Everything's so expensive. Well, the secret here is to become expansive. Then things aren't expensive anymore. You can afford it all when you become expansive. Open it up. Stop identifying with this character. See your own face and then become the faceless one. And then the freedom there, the inner journey, when you go within instead of going without, it's not expensive, it's expansive. We become one with nature. We become one with the Tao. We raise frequencies. We remember with all the insanity in the World War III that's happening, Mother Earth also has a path. Mother Earth also has a destiny. She's singing right now in joy and gratitude, vibrating on a different dimension. And so right now, it's up to us to transcend, to go into these higher dimensions so that what's going on in the third, in this dense, all the collapse and everything, we don't need to collapse along with it. We can sing, we can vibrate with those hertz that John was talking about, and another double entendre there, right? It hurts or it hurts. It's frequency, right? Hurts, doesn't it? So, yeah, I could go on. I am kind of writing a dissertation on exactly this because it's such a freeing revelation. And I think that that's another thing. All of us can have access to epiphanies right now. Just essence. Always remember, if you're feeling frustrated, go to the essence. It's not our job to change anyone's minds. It's our job to help others to bring their essence out, being the mirror and then seeing all these outer challenges. Wow, it's perfect divine order. All these childhood wounds I had about being rejected and abandoned and not seen, it's going away. It doesn't matter anymore because it's just that's not the work anymore. I don't need to identify with that. So I can just bring up my own essence, which is the essence of the river, the essence of the bird, the essence of the bear, the essence of the trail. It's just infinitely beautiful. So, with that, allow me to pass the feather to Gail, if you will take it. Big bless to all y'all. One love.
Wow. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone. This has been just very enlightening and just loving. Yes, my journey is yeah, I understand and I can relate to Sarah's journey as far as the past wounds and going beyond. Um, there's just so much to be said about the inner self. My journey started many years ago, well, from birth, but doing healing work. You know, so I became a healer, not understanding that doing that work would bring me to my inner self. And so, you know, the person, Dolores Krieger, who I learned from, that was her goal, was for the healer to become the inner self. You know, that the point of the matter is that you can do the healing work, but you're also doing the work of the inner self. And that's been my journey, not really consciously, but now much more consciously. I believe that, you know, we find our way. There are many ways to the summit. Everyone finds their own way, and we just have to honor that. And, you know, I'm sure there's lots of reading done, and, you know, we're learning all the time. We don't change, we change as we go along. Yeah, but not everybody has that conscious awareness. And I think that when you have the light and you carry the light, as we do, people need our light. A lot of people are going to be needing our light. And so in order to keep that light, we need to do the work, you know, the inner work that's going to open us up and bring us to the ability to stay centered in this crazy world. And the more you do the inner work, the more your light shines and the more you're able to stay stable, I would say. That's kind of, you know, there's a lot to be said there, and everybody's and I want to leave it to Winnie to speak, because I think we're going to run out of time here. But anyway, thank you all, and it's just enlightening to hear everyone and be of like mind and coming from all kinds of directions and all kinds of experiences. But be the light that you want to see in this world, because that's what we need, very much so. So just keep doing your inner work. It's hard. It's not easy. It doesn't stop. So thanks, everybody. Love you all. Pass it to Winnie.
Thanks, Gail. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for including me today. Is there one other person, P. Vanasp, that wants to speak before me? I should feel like, is
That's
it
my
okay?
delightful cousin, Patricia. I don't know if she's to chat or not. Oh, there's she unmuted. Hi, Patricia. Good morning.
Patricia, you want to go?
Oh,
Okay, I'll go. Thanks, everyone. That's beautiful, amazing reflections. Thanks for including me this morning. Really grateful to be here with Michael and Sue in their beautiful home and be participating here. The things, yeah, I just resonated with everything everyone said in beautiful ways. And the things that came to me were, one, I feel like my inner journey shifts a lot. It's a different journey according to where I'm at, what I'm doing. One of the most potent examples of that came to me when I was thinking of a past relationship that I had here in Ollantaytambo, where I first met Michael and Sue, and they were a part of this relationship by extension a little bit with my ex-husband here, and how I was constantly, it was a very sort of chaotic, tumultuous relationship on many levels. He's from Ollantaytambo, so very different cultures, very different socioeconomic ways of programming. And so being in that relationship, and the issues, I kept pointing at him. I kept pointing outside of myself. Like, he should be like this. He needs to think like this. He needs to act like this. And finally, I got like, oh, well, that's really dumb. That doesn't do anything. This isn't going to help the situation at all. So turned it all back within and like, okay, what inside of me is creating this? And really got that, wow, inner journey, what that is, to really to always turn it back in. And then another thing that came to me was how I can see from the reflection of my outer world how my inner journey is doing. So registering, okay, how am I doing in the inner world by what's happening in the outer world, and having that gauge to help me. And then the other thing was that really my inner journey feels most about becoming friends with my inner divinity. Like I think Susan was saying, it's her father, mother, it's her healer, it's all these things. It's like one, but a multitude of beings. And that what I've embarked upon is working to get to know that, and just through hello, hi, who are you, how are you, establishing intimacy with my inner being, talking to it, praying, working with it, acknowledging it, remembering it, and as much as I can as I walk through my days. So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much, Winnie, putting down the feather.
Thank you. And Patricia, do you want to say anything? Oh, sorry, tried to talk, not responsive Wi-Fi. Okay, got it. All right. Wow, that was awesome. That was really, really awesome, everybody. Just so awesome. It's John Michael was talking about that vision and the door. And then Sarah picked up on the theme of it. And this morning I was saying to Win, I said, you know, Uspensky talks about it this way. He says, we make a jail cell with our mind. We put ourselves in the jail cell and we lock it. And then when we want to get out of the jail cell, we forget where we put the key. And when we start looking for the key, that is the time of epiphany, when we find the key to unlock the door that we made ourselves with our own mind. And you gave the version of the evolution of that thought, in that when you open the door, it's nothing but light. And therefore, we're all connected. And this connection is, in essence, the power of the divine within you. It's expressing itself through you. I think I told everyone I had a dream in my anesthetic experience when I was having a biopsy, and I went to another dimension. And all I felt was unconditional love. I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed. And when I came out of that, and Susan was standing beside my bed, I couldn't express because I couldn't speak. But she got the idea of what I was trying to express, because there's no words that I could say, right? That's the essence of our existence, is that we are in existing in love. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Always, always, always. Eternal existence, eternal consciousness, eternal bliss. That's what you are. And the only obstacle are the 7 egos. That's why the Inca taught about the elimination of the 7 egos: lust, anger, pride, envy, greed, laziness, and gluttony. And those animals invade each and every human being. They are the obstacles to the truth, to the life of love and not fear. The only thing that the egos feed on is fear. That's the only thing. And they'll fight very hard to be eliminated. They will fight very hard. And just for help, the 7 egos are represented by 7 animals. Lust is the black dog, only interested in smelling the sex. Anger is the bull. Envy is a seagull. Seagull. It'll take your French fries. Okay, where am I? Pride is a peacock. Laziness is a monkey in South America called the puño puño. Very sloth-like, can hardly peel the banana to feed itself. And greed and gluttony are taken by the pig. So 6 animals, 7 egos. They're within you. And no one can tell you where you are on the elimination of these egos on a scale of 100%. Only you, by self-observation, can determine what percentage of anger, lust, pride, envy, greed, laziness, and gluttony prevail in your life and control you. And this is why the Inca said the first step to the raising of consciousness is the elimination of the 7 egos. So that when we're talking about inner journey, then what we're talking about is finding that divine flame within you, finding that part of you which is the essence of connectivity, and instructing it to get rid of the egos. Bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. That's what you got to do. Namaste. Namaste. So, this is just a super session. I so much enjoyed it. What everybody had to say. And even Patricia, without being able to say anything, we feel your energy because of that connectivity. And that's what it's so much all about. And we get to develop this community ourselves. We get to develop this community. It's so cool. Very cool. Very, very cool. So I'll end it with the mantra of unification. Mantra of unification. The souls of men and women are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love which underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all humanity love. We'll see you all in 2 semanas. 2 semanas.
Everybody, have a wonderful day.